dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Through the portals of Penn's Valley passed the youth with hope supreme, ever seeking, groping, yearning to fulfill their dreams. You are alma mater, welcome one and all. You shaped, molded, and inspired that we could not fall. Hail to thee, our alma mater, hail, oh hail, Penn's Valley High, fount of wisdom and of learning, cherished till we die. In thy glorious splendor, better than the best, may we ever honor thee, holding high thy crest.
Welcome. Bonjour. Ocho Cinco. Sorry I never took Spanish. Thanks to all the parents, grandparents, siblings, lovers, teachers, administrators, and members of the community who have come out here to support us tonight and watch us start the next phase of our lives. My name is Nate Gillespie, and I've had the honor of being the president of the 2018 class for the past 3 years. On a side note, if anyone wants any autographed merchandise, see me after this and bring your checkbook. When I decided to run for class president, I pretty much made the decision because I wanted to give this speech. But now that it's here, I don't know whether to make the audience laugh or make them cry. And hopefully it's not because this speech is that awful. So I guess I'll just say a few things about all of us, and I think that there's a little to cry about and a lot to laugh about. I believe what defines our class is how close we are. Everybody in our grade knows that everybody else would drop what they were doing to help someone else in the group in a time of need. Now, I'm not saying we're all best friends for life. Not everybody would go to everybody else's great uncle's third cousin's birthday party, but we're all pretty tight, so maybe we'd all go to each other's great uncle's first cousin's birthday party. Walking down the hall, I'm just as likely to say hi to Jess as I am to Sean, and I'm not sure if I could find two people who are much more different. This class is a lot of heart. Whether it's in the student section as the girls basketball team won a district championship, in the classroom working for those A's, or volunteering at countless fundraisers, we're always giving our all to everything. I'd also like to thank all of the parents and teachers who have helped us get this far. Behind the success of every one of us is someone who is there to motivate us, inspire us, love us, or some other fourth thing. Maybe it was our parents waking us up every day for school, our teachers coming up with interesting lessons, or someone else in the community who stood behind us. To these people, thank you. From the time we walked in the doors of that elementary school in 2005, to being brought here in 5th grade, to the move into the high school, and if you took Honors English 9, scrambling to get that book project done the night before it was due, to watching Carl get crowned prom king 2 weeks ago, there have been a lot of memories. And so, as a 14-year-old might say in the caption of an Instagram post, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't end a speech like that. That's like the cringiest thing I can imagine. So go out, do great things like we all can, and never forget where you came from. Thank you.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I seek. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build, every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I seek. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right.
Good evening and welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to have so many family, friends, and members of our community here to celebrate this milestone event. To the graduates of the class of 2018, I offer my most sincere compliments. To our parents and supporters, a heartfelt thank you. And to our faculty and staff, a genuine appreciation. I recognize that I am superintendent of schools, but I'm also a parent. I have always made a deliberate effort to separate my roles. This evening, however, our youngest, Ashley, will graduate with the class of 2018. And I would be remiss if I didn't take time to sincerely thank the faculty, our support staff, and this entire community for making Penns Valley the great place that it is. Our children have benefited tremendously from the quality education and supportive community that exists at Penns Valley. Graduates, it's always a great day to be a Ram. I met with the class officers, Nate Gillespie, Lexi Culver, Sam Cupp, and Peyton Homan, and they expressed their appreciation for the closeness, relationships, connectedness, and supportive nature of this class. After graduation, they expressed some concern about the loss of connectedness that is a key component to the Penns Valley experience. They also expressed an eagerness to move to the next phase of life and make real difference in the world. After speaking with the officers, I recognize that some may be nervous, concerned, or even fearful about what the future holds. But I'm confident everyone in this class has the potential to achieve their individual success. I don't generally title my commencement addresses, but I'm going to title this one, Proceed with the Fearlessness of a Kindergartner. The title represents an experience that I had with Jeremiah Manning, one of your classmates all the way back in 2005-06. I remember serving as an elementary principal substitute following the retirement of Mrs. Benita. Jeremiah was in the office for some reason, and he looked up at me and said, "Are you the manager here?" Mrs. Lois Miller and I laughed, and I responded, "Sure." He then stuck his foot out and said, "Will you tie my shoe? Because I want to go outside and play." He was fearless. His perception was I was the person who could help him, and he was going to ask. I know that on this day, there are some graduates with concerns that may lie just beneath the surface. These feelings of concerns, worry, or fear bring thoughts that usually fuel our actions or inactions. Your high school graduation is a time to reflect, but to also set the stage for a significant change in life. These life-changing events often produce discomfort within our bodies. Sometimes it's an internal flip-flop of our stomach, a racing heart, headache, sleeplessness, or even tears. This physical discomfort is a result of our body reacting to something we call fear. These physical reactions are entirely uncomfortable and drive us to avoid the experience we anticipate. In fact, animals, including humans, will go to further extents to avoid pain than to experience pleasure. This is why a dog trying to run through an underground fence will stop and avoid getting his chew toy. When I was 17 years old, I was graduating from high school, just like all of you. My classmates had varied plans for the future: career, military, college. For me, I knew what was coming: college, tests, interactions with a bunch of people whom I perceived were much smarter than me, and I was fearful. So I spent time worrying, not sleeping, and trying to overcome my fear. Well, once I got to college, the experience was surprisingly positive. Step by step, semester by semester, I learned to persevere through my fear. Along the way, I also built some lifelong friendships that I appreciate so much today. All that fear was just in my mind, and yet I had reacted to avoid the situation. And had I reacted to avoid the situation, I might never have completed my education. If I would have given in to the fear, I would have experienced a completely different life. My guess is that if I had continued with that pattern of avoidance, all would have been created by my imagination. Even as adults, we fall victim to the same trap. We oftentimes think things will feel a certain way, and it's all our perception of reality. This causes us to avoid pain, give in to the fear, and travel a different pathway. The ability to work through fear not only has to do with graduation, but it has to do with life. Our perceptions can create fear in us, keep us from positive relationships, quality jobs, and new and different life experiences. I encourage you each to take some risk, confront your fears, and move forward with confidence. Approach challenging life experiences and proceed with the fearlessness of a kindergartner. Graduates, you're walking into a world of constant change, a world that will attempt to impose fear in you. You will learn that it's how you respond to that fear that will predict your future. You already have a foundation of the Penns Valley learning experience. I encourage you to use this experience to motivate you to persevere through fear. And I am confident that you can and will reach your individual success. Move forward knowing that not only I, but we trust you. Class of 2018, may the future be yours. I ask all present to join me in a round of applause for the graduates. In addition, this evening, I'd like to offer a special acknowledgement and welcome our alumni of 50 years, the class of 1968. Could you please stand, class? Thank you for being here with us this evening. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podium Chris Hosterman. He can start forward right now if he'd wish. He is the president of the class of 1968. Mr. Hosterman initially worked in the family business of Hosterman & Sons until it was sold in 1990. After that, he worked at Safety Strategies Incorporated, and since 2005 has been employed by Winkin Wealth Management as a financial services professional. Mr. Hosterman is an active volunteer in the Hope Fund and has served 8 years on the Penns Valley School Board, no longer on the Penns Valley School Board, but was. He is married to former member of the class of 67, Linda Collier Hosterman, with sons Nate, daughter Shelley, and 3 grandchildren. Life is good. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Hosterman.
These things get complicated when you get to be our age. You've got to have a lot of equipment along. I'd like to thank the Penns Valley Education Foundation, who hosted a really nice event in late afternoon, at which time we toured the new building, learned a little about the foundation, and everyone here who may not be familiar with that, I would encourage you to go on Facebook, or I think in the next few months, on the web and learn about the Penns Valley Education Foundation. It was encouraging that during that little event, we heard from 4 outstanding students, and even they had trouble. They were talking about the day the girls' basketball team won the district title, and there was a delay. And for people our age, it was really encouraging to hear them not be able to agree or decide whether it was 2 hours or 3 hours, because we tend to be a little forgetful. The other thing that I would encourage the class to do is look over your right shoulder That's a representative group of baby boomers. That will save you from going to the Smithsonian later in life to see what they look like. All right, seriously, good evening. On behalf of the class of 1968, I would like to welcome everyone to this celebration. I would like to welcome the graduates first, and all those who have supported them, their families, faculty and staff, your friends who have always had your back, members of the school board who represent the community, and a very special community that places a very high value on children and their education. We'll talk a little bit more about good friends because Dr. Griffith mentioned that you tend to feel your age sometimes, and then Dr. Griffith had to come up and say that little Ashley is graduating. I can remember when they moved here when she was little Ashley. But from the class of 1968, a hearty congratulations, the class of 2018. Nathaniel, I did not run for class president 50 years ago so I could give this speech. When I realized that I had to do this, I didn't know that that office would create an obligation or opportunity, depending on your perspective, to talk to you tonight. So I began to think about what I would say, and I met with Mrs. Hall a while back to become more familiar with this very special group of young men and women sitting before us. She asked me if it seemed like it was just yesterday when we graduated, and my quick response was, no, it seems every bit of 50 years. But I can tell you it does seem more like yesterday. As you grow older, you will begin to realize, oddly enough, that many of the things your parents have said to you that you're skeptical of turn out to be true. Even more shocking is when you get to be our age and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm starting to sound like my mom or my dad. My father died 3 years ago at the age of 95, and he had always told me that the older you get, the faster time goes. And I thought, yeah, 60 seconds to the minute, 60 minutes to the hour. But it turns out he was right. Life does have a way of slipping by faster and faster, so value each day and be determined to live in the moment. As we talked with Mrs. Hall, and we were talking about the class, and I began to think about what I could say, I thought I got to say something that sounds wise and born of experience. And I could think of a number of things right away, but when I qualified that with what could I say that sounds wise and born of experience that you would remember, I couldn't think of a single thing. And I can tell you, to be honest, beyond wearing a cap and gown, I don't remember anything about my graduation. In fact, when I was sitting in your place 50 years ago, I was probably thinking, gosh, I wish he would sit down and shut up. So what do I say? I began to see this as an opportunity to recognize some of the very special things that you've accomplished as a group, because it isn't about us. This evening is about you. Many folks here already know about those achievements. Many more may not. So let's start with a couple notable, and I'm going to ask some people to stand up because the chairs are getting hard, right? We're going to start with a couple notable accomplishments in sports. I'm going to ask these members of the boys cross-country team to stand. Chris Caldwell, Mark Beerley, Charlie Romig, and little Charlie Romig is graduating, holy smokes. Hayden Stam and Sammy Gray. These young men were on the cross-country team that brought a state championship trophy home to Penns Valley, and you've already, let's recognize them again. All right, you gentlemen can sit down. Now I want to ask Peyton Holman and Dania Brown to stand. We've already talked about the district title, and I've heard a lot of really positive things about that basketball team and the relationship that you all had. These two young ladies were on the Lady Ram basketball team that won a district title, so let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. Now, Emma Heckman. Emma looks self-conscious. Through her dedication and hard work, Emma achieved placement as first chair, and I have a friend that knows what this means, PMEA, Pennsylvania Music Educators Association, All-State Wind Ensemble, first chair. This is a really, really prestigious accomplishment. So let's recognize Emma. Thank you, Emma. Now, Sam Nupp. Sam's not self-conscious, he's laughing. Sam's outstanding performance in academic decathlon, pay attention here, earned him the top score in the country, not the county, not the state, in the country for schools our size. So join me in recognizing Sam's outstanding accomplishment. Finally, I want everybody up. This is only to stretch. There's no point to this. Okay, so pay attention to this. 80% of these graduates are going on to further their education. 13% are going to enter the workforce. If you saw the Center Daily Times the other week, there's a crying need for people in many jobs, and 4% are going into the military. Also, 39 are members of the National Honor Society, 9 members of the National Vocational Technical Honor Society, and I believe Alexis Witherite is a member of both. So let's recognize this entire group of people. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Now here comes the obligatory pearls of wisdom. And everything I looked at online, one started out was be honest and sincere, be brief, keep it short. 2 was use some personal stories. 4 was refer back to number 2, and on and on and on. So here are 2 things that have been important to me in my lifetime. One comes from a book written in the 1990s by a gentleman named Stephen Covey. And he has since passed away, but the book was entitled 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. He did the same for teenagers. In that book, Covey relates this story, and this has always stuck with me. One day he got on a New York subway car. It was fairly crowded, but there was some room. He sat down, and a man came on with about 4 or 5 kids. And the man sat down, the kids gathered around him, and he immediately put his head down and closed his eyes. And the kids immediately began to raise, holy you know what. I mean, they were throwing things and yelling at each other and calling each other names. They're over the seats, under the seats. Covey thought, they're disturbing everybody in this car. So he got up, gathered his courage, went over and said, "Excuse me, sir. Your kids are creating a disturbance." And the man, I'm going to quote now, the man lifted his gaze as if to come to awareness of the situation for the first time and said very softly, "You're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either." In an instant, your understanding and perception changes. If you take time to understand what could be going on in the other person's life rather than rushing to express your opinion or to vent your indignation. If you do that, if you try to understand first what's going on with the other person rather than being understood, you will see differently, you will feel differently, and you will behave differently. In this situation, indignation and anger instantly gave way to sympathy and compassion for an unknown loss. And that story has always stuck with me. I don't remember anything else about the book, but I do remember that story. Earlier, I thanked your friends for being there for you. So the second pearl of wisdom is very important, and it's about the value of good friends. You've got them now. You're going to go forward in your life. You're going to make new friends. I'm certain you've heard this before, maybe from your parents, faculty, guidance counselor, or if you've made a really, really bad decision or choice, maybe from Mr. Dalton. And it is, choose your friends wisely. Choose friends who will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and who will do anything for you and know that you will do the same for them. At times, life will present tough challenges, and you will not know how to respond. It will be your closest friends that will turn and give you help and reach out to you, so choose wisely. I have a personal story I could share. I wasn't going to do this because I wasn't sure I could get through it. But my daughter was married at the age of 25. She was in graduate school at Lehigh University, married a young man from Great Britain. And 14 months later, he was killed in an accident. And it was a close circle of friends that she had made at Penn State and at Lehigh who supported her and pulled her through that. Life will get tough. And anyone at our age can tell you that that's a certainty. So over the years, you will come to realize the importance of the people that you surround yourself with. Once again, I would like to thank you for allowing us to be part of your celebration, class of 1968. Wishes you all the best as you take the next steps in your life's journey. Thanks again and congratulations.
Hi, guys. I'm doing well, thank you. So good evening, class of 2018, parents, friends, board members, distinguished guests. Today is a day of celebration. So, for the sake of what I think might be coming from that direction, I'm gonna skip to the good part. Is that all right with you guys? I thought it might be. So, to the next part. Congratulations, class of 2018. You made it. You may not realize this, but we began this journey of high school together. Actually, you do realize this now because I said it inside. Ah, the memories. How young and naive we were. Of course, this is my second round of high school. Come to think of it, my teachers always threatened to keep me there anyway. Little did they know that one day I would walk back in the doors of a high school building on my own. And let's just say I'm on the extended plan. So, but enough about me, let's talk about you guys. Who you are, where you want to go. I mean, high school graduation isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of a new journey. You see, until now, your journey has for the most part been selected for you. Your parents chose their careers, their jobs, and a place to raise their family, which eventually brought you here. But that time is now coming to a close. This ceremony marks the achievement of one goal and the beginning of the next. So what is next? Well, that's the million-dollar question. In high school, we aren't preparing you for one thing. You had the opportunity to dabble in a multitude of subject areas. Some of you dabbled a little harder than others, but our job was to expose you to as many things as possible so that one day you can make an informed decision. Well, that day is upon you. It is here. It is now. Many of you have already chosen a career, your college, or at least the next step to a career. But tomorrow you will wake up high school graduates for the first time. So now what? As you venture out into the unwritten future, I want you to keep a few things in mind. First, life is hard work. Nobody's going to give you anything. So if you want it, you need to earn it. Let's approach this from a different angle. How many of you want to be rich? Oh, exactly. Nobody says, I can't wait to be broke. How many are willing to put in the work to accomplish that goal? You see, that's a completely different question. Success is hard work. To be successful, you have to be willing to do what other people are not. So let's name a few, because this is my favorite part. Larry Page, an inventor, co-founder of Google, decided that searching the internet needed to be refined by popularity. Oprah Winfrey, because I mention Oprah every year, TV personality, after being told that she was not fit for TV, started her own show. Warren Buffett, CEO, bought his first stock with his own money at 11 years old, then saved all the rest of his money to purchase pinball machines to place in several local businesses. Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, that is a space transportation service company. I didn't even know that was a thing. So those people have obtained success. I mean, who can argue that? But how? What is the key? It is simple. These people were willing to put in the work. As Will Smith said, you might be smarter than me, but on the treadmill of life, you will never outwork me. These people simply outworked their competition. While Warren Buffett's friends were out spending their money on pinball machines, he was making it. While Larry Page's college buddies were out doing whatever college kids do, he was designing and refining a program that literally changed the way the world searched the internet. And Musk, who is now worth $20.8 billion and is the CEO of 4 different companies, there's no need to say more. There are no shortcuts to success. It takes hard work, dedication to make dreams come true. Second, and most importantly, and I want you to listen close, I don't want you to miss this one. If you only remember one thing that I've told you in the past 6 years, make sure it's this. No one will believe in you until you first believe in yourself. You see, along the way, you're going to fail. I know we're not supposed to use the word fail, but believe me, it will happen. It's what happens next that's important. Do you believe in yourself enough to pick back up and start over again? Success isn't just money. It's waking up tomorrow knowing that yesterday was horrible, but being willing to do it all over again. All because you know that in the end, absolutely and under no circumstances will you accept failure. So in closing, a quote by motivational speaker Don Yeager states, "Greatness is a journey, not a destination. If you could actually reach it, you would stop." I would substitute the word greatness for success, and it would read, "Success is a journey, not a destination. But if you are one of the lucky people who can find your passion, and you are willing to work hard, even when others are not, and you can stare failure in the eye and say, 'You won't break me because I believe in me,' then you are destined for greatness, because true success is the fulfillment you get in knowing that you make a difference." Congratulations, class of 2018. Go change the world. At this time, it brings me great pleasure to introduce our salutatorian, Samuel David Cupp.
I'm going to try to follow up these speeches. Wish me luck. Good evening. Tonight we are here for the conclusion of our time together at Penns Valley. Together we have spent 13 years of what may have seemed to be torture, and probably were, but we made it through it. From coloring to calculus, DPA to direct objects, here we are. Despite all of the late nights writing and lost sleep over due dates, we are fortunate for the education we have gotten. I know that at some point, all of you have said, "Why do I need to know this?" Nurses don't need to use direct objects when referring to a patient. Farmers don't need to be able to identify the rhetoric used in the letter from Birmingham jail. And businessmen don't need to know your kinematic equations. But You learned them, and now you know them, and you're better for it. We have received at this school an education that many students from the country and the world would be jealous of. We had peers to drive us further than we could have achieved on our own, teachers who cared about our education and did their all to help us, and staff who worked hard to facilitate every step of our schooling. In this century, a common theme has been the development of countries around the world. The newest way is the Human Developmental Index, which, among other things, measures educational attainment, how easily you can get educated and how the quality of the education. In this, America ranks 10th. That is 6 spots above the United Kingdom, 11 above France, 39 above Russia, and 80 above China. We're clearly doing something right here. And so whatever each of us is going into, we underestimate just how well we've been prepared for it. Whether we learned the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, or a vocation, the support we had while doing it was phenomenal. They say it's the journey, thanks Mr. Dalton, not the destination that matters, but our school district has done everything they can to make sure that the journey was beneficial to us so we could reach whatever destination we wanted. We should be grateful for everyone who has helped us, from our school board to our custodians, our superintendent to our teachers, and of course, our parents. They've made us who we are and who we will be. Thank you.
At this time, please join me in congratulating our valedictorian for 2018, Alyssa K. Boone.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I honestly can't believe this day has come. It always felt so out of reach, like some outrageously expensive item that I'd never be able to purchase. Well, now that I've earned enough money to afford it, I'm not actually sure what to do with it. But while this experience seems almost unreal, I'm so incredibly excited to be standing here before all of you. I think we can all agree that our graduating class is small, 100 students total. 100 individuals with unique characteristics, aspirations, and ideas. And while our future paths may no longer intertwine, we are undeniably joined by our past Penns Valley experiences. We've all struggled through nonsensical proofs in geometry and memorized the critical elements of plot in every English class for the past 6 years. We've all learned the rules of Air Force Ball, some more strictly than others, and the numerous steps of the scientific method have been ingrained in our heads. We have all been members of a close-knit community where, for a lack of better words, everyone knows everyone. And from this closeness, this familiarity and intimacy, I think that we have all been taught an especially important life lesson. With every one of our actions, we have the ability to influence the people around us. In a small school like Penns Valley, it isn't difficult to observe directly the results of our actions. But as we transition into our new environments, it is natural to begin to doubt the power we hold as individuals. Our world is about to expand, but that does not mean that our influence is about to shrink. Many of you may fear the idea of becoming invisible as high school notoriety fades or as best friends move hours away. But when you begin to understand that potential originates solely from personal character, that seems irrational. Living passionately, working hard, and holding true to your values can create some of the most significant change you could imagine. While unfamiliar territory appears formidable, it is actually the breeding ground of momentous progress. Instead of perceiving graduation as a loss of identity, view it as an opportunity to deepen your impact on the world. With new faces, new challenges, and new knowledge comes a magnified ability to benefit those around you. As we embark on our life journeys that are sure to be filled with hardship, laughter, heartbreak, and beauty, I think it is extraordinarily important to remember that even when we feel smaller than a grain of sand, anything that we do will inevitably affect the lives of others. I have to admit, sometimes I'm terrified when I think about joining a campus of about 46,000 people, but most of the time I'm excited to see how many of those people I can become close with. I'm excited to learn from them just as I have learned from all of you. I'd like to end with a quote by the American actor, director, and screenwriter Alan Alda. I did, in fact, have to research Alan Alda to find out who he is, but my ignorance of the man's fame did not stop this quote from resonating deeply with me, and I hope it does the same for you. You have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition. You can't get there by bus, only by hard work and risk, and by not quite knowing what you're doing. But what you'll discover will be wonderful. What you'll discover will be yourself. I know for a fact that all of you will discover yourselves in the next few years, and hopefully you'll recognize along the way that by being yourself, you will have made an irreversible mark on the world around you. Thank you.
Before we begin the presentation of the class, it is extremely important that we take a second to recognize the people who make this day possible. First, I would like to thank the Penns Valley staff, from the teachers to the custodians to the grounds crew. All of these people play a critical part in making the educational process happen. Specifically to today, Mrs. Miller and Mrs. McCormick work as the senior advisors to help organize this whole process. Please give them a round of applause. I would like to thank the office staff for their role in making today a success. A thank you to Northwest Savings Bank for providing the miniature diplomas for all of the graduating seniors, and a big thank you to Patchwork Farms and Woodward Gymnastic Camp for the wonderful flower decorations today. I would also like to recognize 3 seniors for their work on the program artwork. When I call your name, please rise. The Ram, Morgan Knoll. World, Ashley Wagner. Where Will You Go, Ziantha Bachman. We have a tradition at Penns Valley, that is that the seniors choose who reads their name as they receive their diplomas. This year's selection, Mr. Chuck Romig.
Alyssa, it's MASH. You gotta watch MASH. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Class of 2018, in a few minutes, is gonna be official. So congratulations. I only have a few remarks. When you're reading the names, it's not really a speech. But you've had me in class and you know what a few minutes turns into. But out of respect for the ceremony and Mother Nature, I'll keep this short and sweet. Graduation is bittersweet for faculty, administration, and staff. The reason for that is we've spent the last at least 4 years, in some cases 6, and in some cases 13 years building relationships with you. In a way, it's difficult because every June, we seem to lose a close group of friends. But we hope these relationships that we have built are meaningful. So I just want to make 2 very quick points. The relationships that we have built, and I think I can speak for the entire staff, they haven't always been roses. We know that. They never are. But there's a reason for that. It is very easy to love your kids, and in this case, specifically our students, enough that you give them everything they want. But it's very difficult to love them so much that you don't. Second thing is, it's kind of apropos that we have this construction and a bunch of new hallways, because I want you to remember them. I want you to remember these walls. I want you to remember the halls. Your kindergarten halls to the halls you just walked out of as seniors. You are as much a part of those walls, a permanent fixture, as anybody who has graduated before you and anybody who will graduate after you. Your person is in them, your character is in them, your spirits are in them. And I think, again, I can speak for the entire staff, the entire faculty and administration, when I say that within those walls, you, the class of 2018, will always have a home, and will always have a family to come home to. And now, will the first row please rise? Nathaniel Robert Gillespie. Alexa Lee Culver. Samuel David Cupp. Peyton Elizabeth Homan. Alyssa Catherine Boob. Ziantha Bachman. Dana Joshelle Brown. Christopher I. Caldwell. Daniel R. Conley. Melena Lee Dorman. Aaliyah Bailey Federoff. Rachel Elaine Fuller. Madison Elizabeth Fye. Nicholas John Getz. Maya J. Good. Samuel T. Gray. Ashley Annette Griffith. Lydia Ray Hankinson. Emma Marie Heckman. Jacob Braden Hockenberry. Alexander Todd Homan. Jared Stewart Kynes. Nicholas Paul Kubilak. Rachel Olivia Lieb. Lauren Jean Long. Abigail Marie Martin. Abigail May Miller. Brianna L. Morgan. Holly Noel Pinamonti. Sydney Renee Regal. Charles Stephen Romig. Justin T. Sands. Jessie Catherine Smith. Ariel Lynn Sweely. Matthew Hamilton Tobias. Jessica X. S. Traxler. Olivia N. Van Amberg. Ashley D. Wagner. Aaron M. Wheeland. Kira Jo K. Whitman. Alexis Marie Witherite. Justine Renee Bressler. Matthew J. Caldana. Taylor J. Holman. Melina Lynn Lucas. Katrina Irene Orndorff. Kira Ray Wolfhope. Mark Robert Beerley. Bruce Wiley Boring. Colton Daniel Breon. Olivia Kathleen Brennan Bird. David William Coder. Sage Morgan Coral. Shania Nicole Kovalt. Jacob M. Daniels. Wyatt Dobb. Levi W. Dietz. Bryce E. Doan. Emma A. George. Samuel L. Goodwin. Tristan D. Haupt. Trent Andrew Heckman. Grace Elizabeth Hockenberry. David T. Hornack. Jordan Alyssa Houts. Peyton Michelle Ilgen. Thomas Troy Kaufman. Morgan Shanae Kerstetter. Tristan M. Kleinfelter. Emma M. Latchett. Harley Dawn Laird. Cassie Cheyenne Laird. Benjamin David Leitzel. Larissa Marie Long. Jeremiah Jin Park Manning. Emmanuel McClellan. Sean Casey McGowan. Brianna Charlene Rose Miller. Jarek Owen Miller. Zoe Elizabeth Miller. Caitlin May Morgan. Carl Munt. Morgan Ray Knoll. Megan Elizabeth Packer. Cassidy Gwynn Powell. Lane Catherine Redden. Blaine Irwin Ripka. Brittany Nicole Rose. Hunter Allen Rossman. Austin M. Rote. Jared W. Smiles. Hayden Allen Stam. Joseph A. Steffen. Logan M. Stroop. Jason Anthony Tickner. Terrell Treaster. Trinity M. Whitmer. Hunter Robert Zimmerman. Thank you.
For that, I think I'm going to delay just a few minutes and the rest. You can just sit there. It's all good. You making your parents sit there? Okay, we're good. With the authority granted to me by the Penns Valley Board of School Directors, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, I am pleased to announce that all the names of students submitted to the school board for approval have met the necessary requirements for a Penns Valley High School diploma. You may now move your tassels from right to left. May I present the class of 2018.
That's
I
okay.
saw it. I was like,
Congratulations, guys.
yay.
They didn't wait.
They didn't wait. No one cares about the dance. It's okay.
No, I mean, they didn't wait.
Oh my God.
Okay, guys, make sure everything goes back in your folders. Get all the pins back in. Flip, stand.